right, welcome, revelers. This is Off the Rails, Right versus Left, the podcast that we do because we think the left is evil. I'm Rob B.
And I'm Brad Lee.
And I'm Brian G.
And we are Off the Rails, Right versus Left. Again, we're doing this show because we think everybody needs to know that the left is evil.
Classic.
That still kills me every time you're like, Classic. Anyway, welcome, revelers, to Off the Rails, Right versus Left. I'm Rob B. This is,
Brad Lee.
and we're going to talk about quite a few different things, including some breaking news for the Democratic Party right now. We're going to cover the problems like with Trump's indictment, but I got a little bit of a different viewpoint on it than some of the other stuff that some of the commentators have been talking about. And then like crazy shit going on in Canada, but not the normal gun grabbing, citizen murdering, transgender forcing bullshit that you normally see up there. So weird shit going on in Canada too. So so the first thing, the breaking news, I don't know if anybody else has talked about this yet. There's officially the first candidate for president for the Democrat Party. Robert F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy's son just declared for president. So that means Biden, if he's running, is actually getting primaried officially.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So by JFK's nephew.
That'll be interesting.
Yep. So I just, and then that was breaking news. I literally just saw a notification about it right as we were about to go live. So had to talk about that first off. Kind of interesting because he's kind of more of a populist moderate, like kind of a JFK style liberal. I just don't know that he'll gain any traction with the leftists being so in control of the Democrat Party. Yeah, I just see that being a tough sell. I mean, you look at what happened with the primary with Hillary Clinton, and she pulled every dirty trick that they had up their sleeves and barely got the nomination over Bernie Sanders. And there's going to be another, 12 million dumb kids indoctrinated by the education system that are going to be voting in the next primary. So I don't know if RFK Jr. can actually get the nomination. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So, bro, what's up with your lighting? You're like in the shadow. You look like the Grim Reaper's taking their soul.
It's my hat.
Oh, is that what it is? It's blocking the light?
Mm-hmm. See? You can see
Gotcha.
my face now. And I'm looking at this thing about Matt Walsh's he had a debate with a couple of transgender identifying people at a college.
Oh, what, his little sit-down discussion that he had with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. That was actually pretty good, of course. Well, I don't know that they were transgender identified. I know the one girl said, like, everybody she knows was. And then on the other one in the pair, one of them said that they identify as non-binary. And, oh my God, it's just so stupid. Like, what's wrong with just being a tomboy? Or, hey, you're a chick that's a little gay. Who cares?
You're right.
You know what I mean? Why do we got to, like, redefine all the gender roles and all of that? I don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous. Basically, everything that the left said that they stood for over the last, like, 20 years, they're tearing down on their own. So it's kind of insane to me. So, but it was, yeah, but it was a pretty. Are you taking a bong rip in the podcast?
Mm-mm. No, it's my Mercedes drink.
Dude, it looked like you were taking a bong rip. It's that shadow, man. Anyway, um, okay, so Trump indictment. Lots of problems with this damn thing. Okay. Um, so the number one thing, I think we kind of touched on it, but this is all accounting bullshit. Well, you'll
Mm-hmm.
notice when companies are accused of like accounting violations, unless the CEO directly had his hand in the cookie jar on a publicly traded company, these people are never charged. If they're the sole owner of the company, you can't steal from yourself. So the company's not the victim, right?
Right.
Okay. Um, and then the reality is, beyond that, Trump's not doing the bookkeeping. Trump's not the one filing ledgers. Trump's not the one filing the quarterly statements. And Trump's not the one auditing the statements. They have accountants for all that shit.
Well, I think what they're trying to get him at is because they're trying to get him with felonies and they're trying to get him with election tampering
Right. So,
because he paid off Stormy Daniels uh, to keep negative publicity away from his campaign. Which
okay,
how does that
great.
how would that wouldn't have hurt his campaign at all?
So, um, we can directly say Hillary Clinton, uh, like, paid a fine, and I want to know who kept it out of the story, kept it out of the news for what, 7 years that she paid for the fake Steele dossier so she could try and dirty up Trump. So here's the thing that these people don't seem to understand: rich people don't usually go to jail for petty shit, and the reason why is they have an army of lawyers to make sure they're not in violation of the law. Okay.
Right. So now it's going to cost us taxpayers a bunch of money because he's gonna go.
Hey,
He's not doing a plea.
New Yorkers keep electing these people. I don't feel bad that New York has to pay $1 million each time for Trump to appear.
Well, where does New York get all this money? Just from their state taxes? I mean,
Yeah,
they get
from their
federal
city
assistance as
sales
well.
taxes and all that shit. Yeah, property taxes.
And
So they want to pay for it, they can pay for it. I'm all good with it.
they get federal assistance, so we're paying for it too.
Dude, every state gets federal assistance.
I know.
It's
That's
not
what I'm
really a change.
saying. It's not just
So
New. It's not just New York that's paying for it.
right, okay.
Is
So
what
but
I'm
but
saying.
back to the actual indictment. Okay. So first of all, for a crime to have been committed, there has to be some form of mens rea, some intent involved. How do you show intent for a man who didn't even touch the books? Okay, that's the first part. Second of all, okay, we don't know how Trump was billed for this or if he even knew about it. So, and here's the: if they built it as um, an expense and not billable hours, there's no attempt to defraud. And if there was an attempt to defraud, it was by Cohen, not by Trump. And here's the reason why I say that. So, like, say I'm working on a case for you, right? Say your car was faulty, and I need to go buy the same model of car and see if I can make the same fault happen, right? So buying that car becomes a case expense, but it's not billable hours. So it would just be billed as legal related expenses, right? So in this, it was his job to take care of any legal matters that would be a distraction so he doesn't have to pay attention to it. And if Cohen didn't inform him and paid it and billed it to him as a legal expense, Trump had no knowledge or anything of what was going on. And then when it was brought up, Trump just said, "Oh, it's bullshit." And so what it really sounds like is, Stormy Daniels was doing one of those nuisance suits and trying to sell her story. Her and that Playboy bunny were trying to sell their stories, and the stories were killed. Well, maybe the stories were killed because they weren't credible.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I find it kind of funny that like Stormy Daniels now tries to claim that they had some sort of relationship for a year, yet she can't generate any text messages, any emails, any phone records. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can pull up text messages where she came out and straight up denied the affair before she
Right.
even got paid.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, so what they're actually billing him on is, and what they're charging him with is all the individual payments that were paid to reimburse Cohen. But if it was billed as a legal expense, the accountant for the company is going to be paying that bill. And the
Mhm.
only approval that he might have given was the accountant says, "Hey, Cohen's law firm's charging us 85,000 this month," and he said the bill's going to be the same every month. And Trump goes, "Okay, pay it." Like, the CEO of a company will never see an itemized bill. That's not his
Right.
job. That would be an accountant's job.
Mhm. You know
Now,
what
it's
else?
possible.
You know what else I find funny?
What's that?
The Ninth Court of Appeals just awarded Trump when he was in the courthouse being fucking booked or whatever. The Ninth Circuit Appeals Court granted him another $160,000 from Stormy Daniels.
Right, because first she hit him with the defamation suit,
Yep.
and she lost, and so she had to pay his legal expenses, and she appealed, and she lost the appeal, so she has to pay his legal expenses for that too.
Mhm.
And I think it was 128,000 or 121,000 or something like that was being charged to her, and they rejected 5,000 of it because it wasn't itemized. Oh, you mean lawyers sometimes don't itemize their expenses when they send a bill?
Right.
You mean half of it could be the case in the bullshit charges in New York? So, anyways, because those expenses weren't itemized, he didn't get those legal fees reimbursed. And that was for an active case going on, not, on the side of the road. I'm driving a Mercedes, so somebody steps out in front of my car and pretends I hit him. And so I give him $500 and have him sign a release fee, make him go away. You know what I mean? So, and then the reality is, actually, I think it would be funny if Trump sued her to get the money back, because she did sign a non-disclosure agreement and then violated it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in breach of contract.
Yeah.
So Cohen, he's talking about the case. He's not legally able to do that. The government can't have Trump's lawyer testify against them. That's against the law.
Mm-hmm.
Attorney-client privilege. So how is Trump's lawyer the key witness in the case against them? Right? I guarantee you, Trump didn't waive his attorney-client privilege. So then that leaves Stormy Daniels, who can't prove that anything went on, and just lost the lawsuit twice based on the fact that she can't prove shit, and nobody really believes the chick that gets banged for money on camera.
Right.
Because let's face it, that's all she is. She's a prostitute that gets videotaped, so it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that aspect of it's kind of interesting. As far as the attempt to jack it up, saying that it was concealing another crime, the level of vagueness that this fucker was using and trying to explain it, just showed that he has absolutely nothing. Because he tried to imply that it was a tax violation, and again, there has to be intent and an actual action. And Trump doubtful ever even saw the itemized bill. Trump doubtful was even made aware of what was being paid for. Because why would he? You know what I mean? His accountant would have handled it. Whoever was the two people in his corporation, whoever was the CFO might have known about it, maybe. But when you have a huge company to run, you pay people to handle that shit. That's little shit.
Mm-hmm.
To a multi-billion-dollar corporation, $130,000 ain't shit. And these high-priced lawyers that billionaires have, paying them $400,000 over the course of a year or 2 years or whatever it was, that's not a lot of money. Not at all. He's probably, well, I mean, we already know the first lawsuit with Stormy Daniels went on for what, 6 months, and that was $400,000. That's the legal fee she had to pay, right? So if that's $400,000 for 6 months, that means if you average that out over a year, he's paying $800,000 a year, maybe $1 million a year in legal fees. with all the bullshit he's got going on. So
Right.
why would a bill for $100,000 a month from this Cohen guy even look odd for legal expenses? It doesn't. It would look perfectly normal on an at the face review, and whoever their independent auditor was that looked over it didn't find an issue with it, because you have your accounting firm, and then you always, when you have a big business, even if you're the sole owner of the company, you always have your financials audited so they can catch problems. Because even though Trump is the like primary stakeholder, I'm sure he's got other people that are stakeholders, and like your accounting has to be on point for getting loans and figuring out your tax burdens and all that. So yeah, you definitely have to make sure that it's all right.
Right.
So that means that's two accountants that didn't see any sort of discrepancy that looks suspicious, and then all literally he can redact the names, and all he has to do is pull out one more NDA that he had signed at any point in the last 60 years, and fucking Trump's, like I've said a million times, he's a disgusting human being. I'm sure he's got dozens of NDAs out there
Oh yeah. He's
with chicks
rich.
that he did have affairs with.
He's a billionaire. Come on, man. This guy's grabbing
Dude,
bitches by the pussy.
yeah, he's grabbing bitches by the pussy. He's replacing his wife as soon as they get a gray hair. He replaces them with a 20-year-old.
So
You
he's
know what I mean?
basically what every normal man wishes they could be.
Yeah, he's as faithful as his options. And because he's a billionaire, he actually has them. The
Yeah.
majority of guys are faithful, yeah, because the majority of guys have no options.
And he was cool. And he was cool to the left about that until he ran for president as a conservative.
Exactly. So anyway, so that was one angle. Like they can't even show that he even had his hands in it. And then the idea that he was like trying to dissuade the electorate about his character. The people on the left think he's the fucking Antichrist, and the people on the right think he's a scumbag, but voted for him anyway.
Well, a lot of people on the right think he's a god, which is
Okay,
ridiculous. There's a lot of
but
people that worship this guy, which is to me
I
ridiculous.
don't, I don't think anybody worships him. I have heard a lot of people say that he is sent by God. Not
No,
that he
no,
is a
no,
god.
no,
I've
no,
never
dude,
heard
no.
anybody say that he was a good
There's
human being.
dude. You spend a little bit of time on Truth Social, dude. Go on Truth Social and say something bad about Trump. I guarantee. Tell them that
Oh,
Trump
there
is
are.
Trump is full of flaws, and you will get fucking attacked religiously.
Oh, but he is flawed. He's a flawed human being, like all
Of
mankind.
course he is. But
So, but
seriously, there's a lot of people out there who
okay,
seriously worship him. Like
and
I'm a
no matter
I'm a
how much they
fan.
worship him, no matter
Like
how
I'm
much
a
they worship
fan.
him, they know he's a pig.
Like I'm a fan of Trump, but I don't. These people, like, even if like Trump does something bad, they will sit there and try and make an excuse for it, even though they know that it was bad.
Dude, the guy's been married what 6 or 7 times because he kept cheating on his wives. The most diehard Trump fan does not think that he can keep his dick in his pants. That's my point.
Well, now he can, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure now
I
he
think
doesn't
that
wear
one's got him on lock.
that.
So I actually think
Melania
honestly,
is ridiculously gorgeous.
and I think she's actually been really good for him too. And I think that's because she like was raised with that traditional Orthodox upbringing that I think actually impacts a lot of how she approached. You look at the other women in his life, like they were there for the lifestyle.
Well, I
You
don't
know what
know.
I mean?
His first wife was, but she wasn't. His first wife helped make him the man he is now. Like, if it wasn't
I
for
under,
her, he probably wouldn't have a lot of the billions that he has right now.
yeah, no, I get that, but at the same time, she comes in with that Orthodox "you serve your husband" kind of thing.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no,
like
yeah.
if his first wife had that "you serve your husband" like mentality, they'd still be married.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter how much of a scumbag he is.
Right,
You know what I mean?
and she was. See, they were both alphas. And
Yeah, and that's why they didn't work.
yeah.
And that's exactly my point. And that's the thing. So like in like the traditional American like female power like marriage these days, like all things are equal, but that the relationship doesn't work like that because nothing can have
No,
two
no,
leaders.
no, 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 no. All things are equal, being that she gets to
Right.
do what she wants.
That's my point exactly.
Well, I mean, let's.
Where she is actually the type of person who would probably defer to her husband. Actually, another good example of that would be Giselle and the way she deferred to her husband until there was a lot of other questions. Like I don't believe for a second that was about football that they got divorced. Like it was clear that they were living apart for a long time before that, and rumors that he had a little side piece. So,
Oh, I think she did. I
oh,
think she did too. Yeah, she's
dude,
already with another guy
it's been like 2 years now
since they've been divorced.
since
No, it
they've been
hasn't.
separated.
Okay, you mean tell me that they never saw each other?
No, they filed for divorce a year ago, and before that, they were living apart for a
And
year.
then they just got their divorce finalized.
Dude, my first divorce was 2 years. My second one was 4 years before it was finalized.
Tuh, my first one was 24 hours.
What'd you get an annulment?
No. Oh,
Well, my
we were married for uh, 5.5 years,
uh,
but then
so
we
yeah,
filed for divorce, and then as soon as everything was signed and paid for, it was done.
no kids.
Nope.
So my first divorce, I had kids involved. My second one, I was in another country during the divorce process.
Right.
So that had a lot to do with it. So anyway, um, but yeah, so my point was though, like the dude was married like 6 times. Like nobody thought that he was the most moral of guys. You know, the guy's a
Some
sleaze.
people
He
did.
talks like a sleaze. Like nobody was confused about who Trump was, but nobody gave a shit about his past. They gave a shit about what they were going to do for him, or
Hmm.
what he was going to do for them. You know what I mean? So it's not like he was like even if it had been true and he had banged a porn star, everybody who knew Trump would have been like, well, that was a Trump kind of thing to do. Just like nobody was all that shocked that Bill Clinton was getting Hummers from the chubby intern.
Right.
Nobody was surprised. Nobody was surprised that turned out JFK wasn't just banging Marilyn; he had several other mistresses. Nobody was surprised. You know what I mean? Like we know what these guys are like. The people that vote for him, they know, and they vote for him anyways because they do the calculus in their mind. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I think the
Hmm.
man that Trump is now is far different than he was even when he ran for president in 2016. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
I'm not even going to comment whether or not he like banged Stormy or not because I don't care. Because
Yeah.
in my opinion, he always was a pig, and I still see him that way. I still think he's a pig. I think if he thought he wouldn't get bobbited by Melania, he'd still try and fuck around because that's the kind of pig he is.
You know what's funny though is I was never really, I didn't like The Apprentice because of the way he was, because he was a pig, he was a fucking dick, a jerk, but he did do a lot of good, even though he was a fucking douchebag of a guy. But
Yeah.
then, like I've said time and time again, the media is the one that really made me a fan of him because I saw him going after him while he was going after the government.
Well, and then of course a lot of the other shit that like got thrown at him. Oh, he was racist and like renting to people. Except every landlord in the world like runs credit, and if you go directly off the credit score, it's going to look like you're racist
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
is a direct
The guy's
correlation.
racist, even though the fucking police chief in New York was being fucking laid off, and he hired him and made him head of his security. Yeah, and the guy was black.
Yeah, like, and he's the one that fucking started like doing the second chance program or like I forget what it was called, but the chance for longtime prisoners that were good behavior and nonviolent to get a chance to get out. Like
Yeah.
he actually, dude, he released more black people from prison than Kamala put there. So that's actually pretty impressive because she put a lot of black people in prison.
Yeah, she kept them there too
Yeah.
for cheap
So
labor.
that,
Do we need to kick off YouTube now?
yeah. Well, yeah, especially if I'm gonna talk about
Castro's kid?
uh, yeah, Castro's kid. Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Go next. All right, guys. Hey, switch over to Rumble because I'm
Rumble.
about to end the YouTube stream. So if you're on YouTube, go to www.rumble.com/otrrvl and it'll take you right to our stream. And you guys can listen to us live. I'm sure we're not going to compete with Charlie Kirk because he's live streaming right now, too. But hopefully, you guys will watch us. I think we're interesting. Anyway, so ending YouTube, you guys have a great night. And join us on Facebook, uh, Telegram, Twitter, Rumble. You can catch us just about anywhere. We're just ending the
YouTube.
Bluetooth stream so we don't get censored.
Bluetooth, piss off. Sorry, Crowder.